All right, in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to print money with Facebook ads. So I want to go straight into it and talk about the basic structure that you guys are used to. So these are usually short 15 to 60 second ads, and you're usually running ripped content, or you may even be starting to get into scripting where you use AI to script. But the issue that these ads have is that there's a lot of drop off, really bad hook rate, low conversion rate, which leads to curiosity clicks. And I'm going to go more in depth in a little bit, but ultimately they die out quick. So this is why you're going to have a lot of issues where you get some days with good metrics, right? Inconsistency. Scaling is hard. A lot of the times you're going to have an ad perform really well and then wake up the next day and your metrics are shit. And this is because these short ads burn out very quick. These ads more or less rely on curiosity-driven clicks, whereas what I want to teach you guys in this video is longer form ads that rely on storytelling and real data to drive the customers to purchase your product. So I'm going to go over that. But when I started dropshipping, I used to do these ads and I would basically rip content and throw a hook and expect these to be able to scale to crazy numbers. The issue is when you start scaling these, they're not going to be super specific ads, so you get a lot of audience burnout really fast, and this is why sometimes you'll have really good metrics like I talked about. You're going to start throwing more spend behind it, and then they're going to die out a lot quicker than these long form ads that I'm going to teach you how to make. Your short ads are going to saturate the audience really fast and going to be a lot harder to scale, so I really want you guys to grab a piece of paper and actually take notes on what I'm going to teach you, because this could really change the game for you. So I know you guys have heard me talk about long form ads, VSLs. It stands for a video sales letter. It's basically a mini funnel. It's a sales letter in video form with the goal of bringing the prospect from their stage of awareness to being ready to purchase your product, all within a 1 to 5 minute ad. Now, I know that sounds long, but I'm going to teach you guys exactly how we do that and how we go about it. So like I said, grab a pen and paper and start taking notes. All right, so VSLs, they call out a specific audience. So that means that you're not going to be able to use a super broad angle. And I'm actually going to show you guys how to find that audience and do research on them as well. These ads relate to the exact prospect and audience that you're doing research on within the hook, which is also super important. And this leads to high engagement because the people that are going to be watching your video are relating to the problem and you're specifically calling that person out. So when they can relate to your video, they're obviously going to want to watch and find out more about their problem. And when you introduce their product, they're going to be a lot more inclined to buy it. And then also these long form ads are going to lead to a lot higher conversion rate because you're going to get a lot higher buying intent clicks instead of curiosity driven clicks because you're calling out that specific audience. So with those short ads that you're used to, they're very broad. There's going to be people that are landing on those ads and it's not specifically calling them out, which leads to drop off like I talked about, as well as the people that do end up watching through your entire ad are going to click through with curiosity rather than buying intent, because this may not directly relate to them and they're more or less just interested rather than actually looking to buy. So you're going to get a lot more clicks that just want to look through your website and maybe find out the price and what the product is, whereas these long form VSLs, people are going to click through already being at the end of the funnel with intent to buy the product. You teach them about their problem and teach them about the solution that they need in these ads, and then introduce your product as that perfect solution that they need, shift their belief to wanting to buy that product, and then when they click through to your product page, they're going to be way more inclined to not only buy the product, but also spend more money because you've shifted their beliefs so well through the long form ad. So that's going to lead to higher AOV and ultimately when you're scaling, a lot better scalability. The reason I like these so much is because when you scale, your ads aren't going to die out as quick. And so you could have one VSL that lasts for 5, 6, 7 months, even up to a year, and have a shit ton of spend behind it without being worried that it's going to die out the next day. Now, I want you guys to understand that this is not possible without a specific audience and an angle. When you're writing VSLs and you're creating VSLs, you need to have a specific audience that you're talking to. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of hard time doing the actual research and calling a certain person out, because if your audience is broad, then you don't know who to talk to. And this leads to a lot of different people seeing your ad and ultimately back to that high curiosity clicks rather than buying intent. So you cannot do this without a specific angle, but you don't need to worry. I'm going to show you guys how to find that. This leads us into the testing phase. How do we find the audience? So testing phase. We have one CBO. I love running one CBOs. That's all I do. I've talked about audience overlap before, but we're going to run one CBO. Day one, we pick one angle. Day one, we pick 3 angles. Usually we actually use ripped ads for this, but we make sure that each angle has specific headlines. So let me show you guys exactly what I mean. All right, so I'm going to start with exactly how we go over the testing phase because I know it can be a little bit confusing. But before I show you the actual research portion, we need to find our angle. Like I said, VSLs you can't write unless you have a specific angle or long form ads. So testing phase, we start with one CBO. We have angle 1, angle 2, and angle 3. This is going to be our day 1 test. Now, how do we actually find the content for this? We use TikTok, Instagram. We take rip content, and I know that the rip content usually isn't super angle specific. So this leads me into the third part where we need 3 to 5 angle specific hooks per body. So for angle 1, you're going to find one video that's going to be your body. For angle 2, you're going to do the same thing. And then obviously for angle 3 as well. Now for angle 1, we're going to create 3 to 5 angle specific hooks. The reason we do this is so when we give it to Facebook and we get the data back, we make sure that we know that that is the angle that's performing well, and that's the one we're going to go ahead and write our VSLs for. So we give it 3 to 5 angle specific hooks for each angle. Now, this is going to be 3 different ad sets, and each angle is going to be a different ad set, obviously. But we're going to give that to Facebook, run a CBO for about 1 to 2 days, take the highest performer. Obviously, we're looking for really good soft metrics like cost per click, CTR. CPMs aren't really in your control, so I would look at just CTR and CPCs. And then obviously hard metrics, add to carts, initiated checkouts, and purchases. Based on that, whatever is the highest performer or has the highest intent of performing well, we're going to go ahead and do research on. This takes me into the next part. After day 1, whatever has the highest performance is the one we leverage. All right, so after day 1 or day 2, it depends on your budget and how long you want to run that testing phase for. Whatever has the highest performance is the one we leverage. So what do you do now? You research, right? We have to learn our audience. So I want to show you guys how to do this research. So learn your audience, right? This is what I do. Search up the root problem based on your angle. I'm going to show you guys an example from a product that I use, but basically we go to reddit.com. I'm going to use an example. So my product was a paw bomb. The main pain point was dry, cracked paws. So I'm going to type that up, and we're going to look for different Reddit threads that have at least 20 plus comments. So right here, for example, open link in new tab, dry paw pads, cracks on dog paws. So once you do this, I also want you guys to create a doc. So just go ahead and create a blank document, and I'm going to show you guys why. Basically, we want to scroll through all these Reddit things. I actually advise spending about 1 to 2 hours doing this. Look for different things that people talk about, even competitors. So off the bat, right here, Musher's Secret Paw Wax. For example, I would copy and paste in here, and we can use that to do research on our competition. Keep scrolling, see what they talk about. Right here, the essential oils aren't good for dogs if they lick it off. Copy and paste that in. We can actually reverse engineer, and if they talk about that it's not good for dogs if they lick it off, that means that they're obviously anxious about their dogs licking this, because as you guys know, if you're a dog owner, they like to lick their paws, especially if you put something on them. So it's good to know that when we leverage this in our VSLs, that could be an objection that we can handle and talk about. For example, our product maybe is completely natural and lick safe. That would be a huge objection. So we keep scrolling. Let's see if we can find a pain point. There's not too much good one on this, so I'm just going to close that. Keep scrolling. Here's another one. I didn't want her getting sick, but she definitely needs something. So you could just see that they're very emotionally attached. And so clearly they're going to need a lot of safety measures when you're expanding your product. In this example, making it all natural and reiterating that it's all natural and safe for dogs is really solid if we're running to this specific angle. So you see a lot of people keep talking about the fact that they're licking it off, and that means it's a really solid point that you definitely want to bring up in your VSLs if it's such a consistent pattern that you see. write it down, and make sure you hit that in your ads. So when they're watching it, obviously these people that you're going to be targeting are relatively aware of other solutions. So I would actually say that these people are solution aware, because it seems like they're trying to actively find solutions, or they've already used solutions. You could even write this in here. Mainly solution aware. And the reason we do that is so when we create our ads, in our hooks, we make sure to call out a solution aware hook so that these people are instantly called out to and can relate to the hook, and then obviously are incentivized to watch the rest of the ad. Here's another one. I wipe my dog's paws after walks with wipes and found that especially in the wintertime, they dry out. So wintertime is something that people, actually I honestly would keep that entire thing. Wintertime is a sub angle almost that you could talk about, which is dry cracked paws in the winter or with weather in general. But you get the gist. Scroll through here. Reddit is going to give you a lot of good info on the people and what they actually talk about. People like to go really in depth. Obviously, you can see here's a huge topic. So my dog has a few small cracks on her paws, nowhere near splitting open or anything. They look like slightly smaller. The thing is, her pads feel very soft. I'm worried about putting anything on her feet and over softening them. As I read, this can be bad. It's another solid objection. People are worried that something is going to over soften their dog paws. And here's another one. I mean, this is all such good info. However, it may leave a greasy trail whenever your dog walks. Be sure to only use a very small amount, as coconut is a natural laxative for dogs. So here people are talking about coconut oil, which is another thing. Maybe you can find a product that actually has coconut oil in it already. But again, you can reverse engineer this and know that a objection is that these people are worried about their floors getting greasy, things like that, which again is something you could talk about. I actually ran this product, so I can tell you in our VSLs, we used the fact that our product was all natural and absorbed quick. So we said that it's not going to leave a bunch of greasy stains all over. But I just want you guys to scroll through and take about an hour or two to do a bunch of research on here. You can also scroll through Amazon and TikTok comments. So go to TikTok, look at different videos of your product, go through the comments, what people are talking about, maybe questions they have. You might even find really solid headlines in there where you can copy and paste it into your doc and give yourself a good lead on creating a headline and a hook that is super relatable for them. But with this research now, we can go to File, download, save it as a doc, and now anytime we use AI, we can just spit this straight into it, tell AI to analyze our entire research document, and it'll help us write any form of copy. Usually I have ChatGPT clean it up for me, and then I personally like to use Claude for my VSLs and my longer form ads because it's a lot more realistic and quote-unquote human-like. It sounds more natural, whereas ChatGPT is kind of like, sounds like AI, if that makes sense. I would use ChatGPT, throw this doc in there and say, please clean up my Reddit info and all my research without removing anything. Just clean it up and give it back to me. It'll give it to you, paste it right back into this doc. Then you're going to download the final research doc once it's cleaned up. Now, anytime you go into Claude and want to write VSLs, etc., you click the plus button, upload it, and tell it to analyze, and boom, you have all your information straight into the AI chat. So now that you have your audience, I want to go a little bit more in depth with VSLs because I know they are kind of confusing. So what actually are long-form VSLs? I told you guys, video sales letter. It is a mini funnel in a short ad, basically. So you start with giving them what they want first, which is the hook. So you call out the problem if they're problem aware. And usually in the hook, I like to call out a solution as well or hint at a solution. This just incentivizes the prospect to watch through the entire ad. And it's going to help you get a lot higher hold rate. Then you want to make sure that you're relating to them, talk about their symptoms, potential things that they've tried, quote unquote failed solutions. Like I explained, people talk about Musher's paw wax, and you can do research and see if people are complaining about this product. You know, all of it is really just deep research. The basics of these ads is really comprehending who you're selling to, what your audience is, your prospect, and make a perfect ad that relates to them and shifts them to wanting to buy your product with their pain points and things that they've already tried that have failed. Your goal is to shift their belief. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they need, so you need to teach them. Once you invalidate other things they have tried and explain why they don't work, explain what exactly they do need to solve their pain point. This is called the solution mechanism. You start talking about the ideal solution, explain what they actually need, and explain how it's going to solve their problem. So now that they accept this belief for the new solution, your prospect is going to question what actually solves my issue. Beautiful. Now that they've accepted the solution, introduce your product. You don't want the introduction of the product to just be, boom, now we created this product. You want it to be natural. If you're writing a personal story ad for this product specifically, you want to say something along the lines of, I went to the dog park, I was talking to my friend about this problem, and she had told me that this product worked for her called blah, 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 whatever your product name is, and that is a natural introduction to your product. So once you introduce the product, you want to start explaining how it solves the root problem and how your product is their perfect solution. And these work because people don't just want to buy anymore, especially if there's a real problem affecting them day to day. They need to understand, believe, and trust first. And your entire mini funnel, this doesn't need to be 20, 30-minute long ad. Obviously, I'm not expecting you guys to do this. This can be done in 2 to 3 minutes, and a short ad is going to perform 10 times better than your short ads that you're just trying to throw at Meta and hoping that they scale. And this is exactly what VSLs do. Like I said, these don't die out quick. When a VSL has a big enough audience and performs well, you can scale 6, 7, 8 figures, and it's not going to die out. Now, obviously, no ad is going to be able to last forever. So the way you increase the lifespan of your ad is launching new hooks and new concepts of that variation. Once you have a winning VSL, you start testing new hooks, new concepts, tapping into more research and implementing it into your ads. And this actually is exactly what real brands are using to scale to these crazy numbers. I'll give you an example. Neuro is a brand that me and my business partner take a lot of inspiration from. And they, I kid you not, are doing $10, $15 million months. I think they're worth over $500 million, and they started dropshipping and implementing this style of ads. It's called direct response marketing. Now, I know this was a lot, but just like a little recap, this is something you can write down just to really engrave it into your head. A regular ad, usually 15 to 60 seconds, just shows the product. There's going to be quick benefits. It doesn't shift the beliefs, and it causes a lot of curiosity clicks. Now, the VSL, which is just a longer form ad, video sales letter, like I said, is about 2 to 6 minutes on average. Usually you're going to want to do on the shorter side of it, just because when you're new, you're not going to be able to crack them right away. But these grab attention, tell a story, explain the root problem, introduce a new solution, build trust and proof, closes a sale with urgency, and ultimately performs way better. Now, I know this sounds super hard. How are you going to create a 3-4 minute ad script, and how do you actually write the copy for it? Good thing we leverage AI. So I'm going to explain to you guys what we use. For the voiceover, obviously you're not going to have a UGC person create all the voiceover for you. We have AI to do that. So we have 11 labs for a voiceover. That's where we go on TikTok or Instagram. We find a video of our ideal prospect. Maybe we're selling to moms, so we're going to find a mom talking on TikTok or Instagram. Download that, give it back to 11 Labs, and actually clone that voice. So when we have a voiceover, it sounds super natural. It doesn't sound like AI. It sounds like a mom talking to a mom when they're watching the ad. Now, for the script writing, Claude is super solid. ChatGPT can be pretty decent as well, but Claude is just a lot more natural, so I advise using Claude. Now, for the content, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. That's where you're going to find basically all your content. Your product is 100% going to be on the internet already, because before you even pick the product, you should verify that there's a lot of content for it, so you're going to be able to make these ads. So we use TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts for that. And then ChatGPT does our actual AI deep research. We also use Gemini for this, but basically you can do a bunch of deep research on your audience and specific angle that you're running. When you get that research back, I advise reading through everything. It's probably going to be like 30 or 40 pages long, but me and Ari have been doing this as well because you really want to comprehend who you're writing to. And when Claude spits out a script, you obviously need to go through and edit it. So if you understand your prospect, you're going to be able to edit that script a lot easier. Now, how do we get B-roll? Pexels is what I like to use. It's a free website where you can just type in whatever you need and it gives you B-roll. There's a bunch of content and stuff on there. I also like to use Canva for B-roll as well. They actually have a lot. Try not to use too much B-roll. People do pick up on it and it doesn't seem as natural. It seems a lot more professional. So try not to use too much, but B-roll does help a lot. Okay, so I hope you guys took notes. I know that was very confusing, but if you guys can implement these VSLs and long form ads well and learn them, I guarantee you it's going to be a lot easier to scale profitably and long term. This is what people use to build real brands. I also don't want you guys to think that you need to crack these right away. A lot of the time, you're going to launch VSLs and use all your data to continue optimizing them and get them to work. Your first batch, you might see that a certain soft metric isn't performing as well, so you can take that data and try to implement some new changes to a new batch of VSLs and get that soft metric to perform better. The goal is to continue optimizing in the optimization phase, and once you hit those 20 to 30% margins and you crack your VSLs or these long form ads that I just showed you how to make, you're going to be able to scale, and these are a lot more long term. I also do have a free Discord where I'm helping you guys learn all of this. I know it's very confusing, but I do a lot of free calls in there. Me and my business partner are trying to help you guys implement everything and get your stores to be profitable with not only VSLs and long form ads, but just the funnel in general with every aspect. Product research, customer research, the VSLs, pre-landers, literally everything. We're launching a bunch of cool stuff this week, including a huge section of free resources that can help you guys. So I'm really excited. I'm going to leave the link down below, and I hope you guys join, and I will see you in there.